Good afternoon, everybody. It's October 12th, 2021. KC3QPJ here, and I'm here to do another review of the Anytone 570 UV3 Plus. Not much difference between the Plus and the Pro. However, I understand that I couldn't go over a whole lot in the last video due to the fact that I had been here for 4 hours. So I've organized a demonstration for everybody today. We're going to demonstrate DMR simplex as well as analog simplex, how a talk group works, and how private conversations work on the DMR. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions at the end of the video. Please feel free to leave in the comments. As I said before, I am not sponsored. I'm not here to make money, just an honest review. So with that said, let's get started. I've got a couple operators standing by. So I'm going to show you a site map of where they are, where I am, and how we're going to communicate. And I will do everything I can to bring a little bit more understanding to DMR radio today. So let's get going. Alright, so here on Google Earth Pro I have a site map. You can see me up here at the top right. That's me, that's where I live, KC3QPJ. This is my fellow ham operator Tony. He's KC3PRI. Line of sight to Tony is approximately 18 miles via simplex from my home QTH, and I believe Sandy, KB3EOF, the last operator here, he's approximately 27 miles line of sight. However, I didn't really check it, but here's the challenge for me and Sandy. This mountain range right here. At that point right there, line of sight, that elevation is right around 1,500 feet. So even on substantial amounts of power, sometimes it's a little difficult for me to communicate with Sandy via simplex because of all the bacony hiss in there. This is where the magic of DMR is going to come in, and unfortunately Tony is not going to be able to join us on simplex on DMR simplex because his rig is not in his house right now. But not a problem. I usually don't have trouble with Tony. So we're going to start on 2 meter simplex here, and pardon the mess again, everybody. I had to find a different programming cable, and I'll explain this to you guys further on in the video. So with that said, I'm going to give Tony a shout out on 14645 here, and you guys can listen to the quality of the audio coming out. I don't want this too loud, so we're going to turn it up all the way and then back it down about half. So all right, so this is regular analog simplex, KC3PRI, KC3QPJ on 20 watts simplex on 14645. How copy? So Tony's going to be using simplex as well.
KC3QPJ, KC3PRI. I've got you here at the QTH at about an S6. I'm coming back to you also at 20 watts. How copy?
KC3PRI, KC3QPJ. I've got a solid copy, full scale according to the Anytone, with a little bit of hiss in there. So I appreciate you answering on the simplex. And we'll go ahead and clear with you and get over to Sandy.
KC3QPJ, KB3EOF. I read you loud and clear, Aaron. You're also 4 bars on my Anytone 578 with a little baseline hiss at the bottom. And I'm also running 20 watts, KB3EOF.
Okay, so good baseline. KB3EOF, KC3QPJ. I appreciate that, Sandy, and yep, some baseline hiss. You have a little more hiss than Tony because Tony's on the right side of the mountain there for me, but I appreciate that. So I'm going to go ahead and QSY over to DMR simplex on 14579, and just stand by for me there. This is KC3QPJ, QSY to DMR simplex 2 meter. Okay, so I already have this set up for DMR simplex for 14579. Okay, and apologize for how shaky the video is. I'm gonna wait for Sandy over here. Now you guys, I don't know how good the sound quality is. you're going to notice a difference in the tonal quality of voice. It's going to sound a little bit robotic, a little fake. However, when the signal comes through, you're going to notice a difference in the audio quality overall. It should be crystal clear audio. So we have not changed. Also, watch the signal. Now, for some reason, DMR on the 20 watt setting, it gives a little bit of a weaker signal, maybe a little less power. However, wait till you hear the sound here. KB3 EOF. This is KC3 QPJ on 2 meter simplex 14579. How copy in Middletown? Alright, so
KC3 QPJ, KB3 EOF. Aaron, I copy you just fine here in Middletown. I forgot to look at the bars, but I think you're about 2 or 3 bars. Reading you loud and clear with no baseline hiss at all. And I'm coming back to you again, 20 watts on the Anytone 578. Back to your end, KB3 EOF.
alright, Sandy, I appreciate that, sir. Thank you very much. And I had you at 2 bars here, bouncing between 1 and 2 on 20 watts. But your audio is completely clean, no breaks in the signal. So we'll go ahead and I will QSY to my talk group, 317-4087. Thanks again, Sandy. Alright, so as you can hear, very little signal.
73s, and thank you. KB3 EOF clear.
Absolutely no hiss in the signal. So that's why I feel like DMR's digital voice modes are a little more efficient at the lower power settings anyway. Alright, so we're on DMR simplex. I'm going to switch the zone to where I know my talk group is. Let me make sure I have my talk group selected. Talk group is going to be talk group list KC3QPJ. There's my talk group. So now what we're going to do is we're going to show a group call on DMR. Now you can do this one of 2 ways. I'm using my hotspot right now. So even though I'm using an external antenna, I'm going to be going through my hotspot here on my desk. And mind you, my desk has gotten much dirtier. Now, even though I have the hotspot, as I explained in the other video, you can use a local repeater. If the repeater allows for personal talk group IDs, it's very important that they check the firmware and software of whatever your local repeater is that will support a personal talk group ID. Luckily, our repeater here in Frederick does support personal talk group IDs. So this way we can talk privately off of regular analog frequencies on digital frequencies using a network that uses all digitally translated signals. So let's see what we got going on here. Let's see if Tony is standing by. KC3PRI, KC3QPJ coming in on 317-4087. Tony, are you monitoring on 317-4087?
KC3QPJ, KC3PRI, yes sir, monitoring right here. Perfectly clear voice as always. Back to you, KC3PRI.
Okay, so Tony heard me. KC3PRI, KC3QPJ, and just to ensure that Sandy can hear us on the talk group and that we have our own network together, why don't you go ahead and give Sandy a holler, and then Sandy, once you know you've heard every communication, just go ahead and pass it back to me and we'll close out the group call part of this video.
All right, sounds good. KB3 EOS, this is KC3 PRI. You copy me?
Now, ooh.
KC3 PRI, KB3 EOF. I copy you loud and clear, Tony. I'm coming through a hotspot here on the WonderNet, and of course I get full 4 bars with my little hotspot just across the house here. but you're sounding loud and clear, and I also heard Aaron loud and clear. Over to you, Aaron, KB3EOF.
Okay, copy that. I appreciate it. That's a great demo of the group call, and you know, I'm just informing everybody that it's not limited to 3 people. It's to whoever many people want to monitor the group, just like a repeater. So guys, have a good one. Tony, I'm going to QSY to your personal ID, and Sandy, when I'm done, if you could go to 14645 and let me know if you heard the whole conversation between Tony and I, or if you just hear my end. Because you're monitoring my talk group, you may hear me, but you may not hear Tony. So I'm going to switch over to Tony's personal ID, and we'll catch you guys later. This is KC3QPJQSY. Alright, so here's the next step, just to show the capability. Now I'm going through my hotspot.
Alright, KB3EOF, and I'll be monitoring.
Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to get into our menu. Now, and you guys might wonder why I'm getting in menu. I will explain that here in just a little bit. However, right now, just for demonstration purposes, I'm putting it in this way. We're going to select Tony. We're going to select contact. Okay, and then we're going to exit. Alright, so now I'm out of the talk group setting. It should be only Tony and I that hear each other on here. So once I'm done in this setting, I will go back over to Sandy and see if he heard any of it. So let's see what happens. KC3QPJ, KC3PRI, KC3QPJ, trying to contact you via direct. How copy, Tony?
KC3QPJ, KC3PRI, I've got you loud and clear, sir. Right here on from my private ID to your private ID.
Alright, so... Alright, thanks Tony, I appreciate that, and I don't believe Sandy can hear us. I should be correct in that assumption. He may hear me since he's monitoring my ID, but he may not be hearing you. So I should be correct in that assumption for the viewers out here.
That's right. Since you're talking to a private ID, I'm the only one who can hear you. Sandy won't hear you even if he's monitoring your talk group, because you're not broadcasting to your talk group, so he should be hearing dead air. I'll go ahead and clear with you, buddy. Have a good one. KC3PRI clear.
KC3PRI, KC3QPJ, I appreciate your time today, Tony, and we will catch up again soon. Have a fine afternoon. 7-3. I'll be clearing QRT on our private call. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch back over to analog, and we're going to give Mr. Sandy a shout out. Let's see if he's in there listening. KB3EOF, KC3QPJ. Sandy, are you on 14645?
KC3QPJ, KB3EOF. I am, Aaron. Read loud and clear, at least on FM. I heard nothing coming across the DMR radio. So both you and Tony were silent both ways, at least from my end on the hotspot. KB3EOF.
Alright, Sandy, well, I appreciate that. That's a good demonstration for everybody to watch on the video today, and I appreciate your participation. Sandy, I'm going to go ahead and clear with you, and we're going to finish up this video. And once again, thanks, and we will catch up again to you soon, and I will forward the link to you as soon as I get the video uploaded. Have a fine one, sir, and we will see you tomorrow at the ham breakfast. KB3EOF, KC3QPJ. I'll be clearing QRT on 14645.
KC3QPJ, KB3EOF. Pleasure's all mine, Aaron. Thanks for including me. 73s. KB3EOF clear.
Alright, so now guys, Now you get the idea, the differences. You can hear the little bit of static hiss. Now if you notice, when I started going through my hotspot, there was a loud beep when Sandy tried to transmit once. That could have been a network issue, it could have been a hotspot issue, it could have been that he didn't, wait long enough to key up, or it could have been malfunction on my hotspot where it wasn't receiving him right away. So we're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I will let you guys know some different things about the radio. We're going to talk about programming preferences, pros, cons, and then an initial last minute wrap up on the radio. So stand by, we'll return very shortly. Alright, we are back. Probably didn't seem like much of anything there, but definitely wanted to address this while we were on. So one complaint I had in my comments on the YouTube video was, doesn't look like you programmed your code plug the right way, and I wasted 25 minutes of somebody's life. Well, I'm going to put it to you like this. Here are programming preferences. With this radio, there are two VFO receivers. So you got one top, we're going to call them A and B. Now, within each one of these VFO, you can program up to 8 zones. I have 5 zones programmed. Now, the best way to remember this, instead of calling it a zone, let's just say a classification. So you could put 8 different type of classifications in there. Okay. I have one for analog. I have one for, let's switch this back over here. Okay. So I have one for my hotspot. I have one for my crossband repeat modes. So that's zone number 2, not necessarily in that order. Then I have my repeaters. Those are my analog repeaters, so that's 3 zones. Then I have direct connect on a single zone for a fellow that I talked to up in Pennsylvania, so that's 4 zones. Then I've got my DMR repeaters programmed into zone 5. Now, in each zone, you are not limited to how many channels that you can put in there. You're only limited to how many channels the radio can support itself. So that's how you classify zones. Just think of them as a designation for what you want to utilize them for. Now, some people like to program a channel for every talk group or every private ID that they use. So, you can change the channels, get into your zone, and change the channels per se like that or whatever. Okay. Now, I have found practically for me, when I program my repeaters, let's get back into I gotta get into the proper thing. When I program in the repeaters, I have a different channel for every single repeater in my area for analog. Okay, even have some GMRS in there. Now, when it comes to simplex frequencies, I don't bother. I'll just punch the number in on the keypad. That's what that's there for. Okay. Now, when it comes to the DMR, it's a little different because, you may have one repeater that you want to use several different talk groups on. I have preferred to just leave that input frequency with its static talk group as one channel. I find it easier for myself when I'm in, say, K3DO or whatever local repeater is around here. Here's K3DO. Static talk group for that is 3124. If you program that one channel, that's all you need still to access every talk group, because you can get into your menu, go through your talk group, choose whatever talk group, choose whatever time slot, whatever. But you can still program that one repeater to have several channels. I just find it easier and simpler for me. Instead of having to flip through 100 different channels, I just go in and manually select the talk group that I want. This is all a matter of preference. It's not something that you need to do. It's something that you can do, but that's the versatility of DMR. You can program them several different ways. I'm not telling you have to program it one way or the other. I just found that I'd rather save my channel space Even though there's 4,000 channels, I know I'm never going to run out, even if I programmed individual channels. But think about it if you went on a road trip and you know that there are several different DMR repeaters. Let's say there's 4,000 DMR repeaters out there. If you program a channel for every one of those, you can never fit it in there. So maybe 2 channels, 3 channels per repeater, just to stay on your favorite talk group. But I wouldn't recommend having a different bunch of different channels for one repeater. Just maybe 2 or 3 that you normally use. That's more practical, absolutely. I just haven't done that yet. So that's my thing on the programming of the radio as far as the DMR aspect of it. Here's the cons for the radio. Okay, and this is where I'm going to explain this cable. That cable is running down to my computer, so I don't have to remove this off of its stand so I can do the programming. So here's the pros. Let's get rid of the pros because that's almost a con there. So pros: very efficiently operating radio. It operates cool, even on 50 watts. If you're only talking a little bit here and there, it doesn't overheat. The speakers built in are really good. All of the functions of the radio, as far as the buttons and the hand mic, they are all very tactile. They work very well, very smooth operating. Some of them are a little stiff, but they are breaking in, and even as I'm using it. The microphone is pretty much completely self-explanatory. It's just like any other microphone with channel selection at the top, your A, B, C, D, B buttons at the bottom. You can use it to change your zones, get into your menu, exit your menu. You can still access all the features from the mic. It is full DTM F-tone microphone. Also, there is a speaker built into it, if I haven't mentioned that before, and it's a heavy little handheld mic. It does not have a cheap feel. I think it doesn't feel cheap mainly because it has that speaker built into the bottom of it. So I've opted to turn that off while indoors, but I'm sure that would definitely come in handy in a noisy vehicle. That way you have a little bit of volume coming up to you. So those are the pros of the radio. It performs the way it's supposed to perform once you program it the way you want to program it. Okay, so let's get to the cons here. Having to get this cable is a con. Now, I had the cable laying around. The one pro about the cable is you don't need a special chip to be able to reach the radio or program the radio. Regular mini USB to USB computer charging cable will work to program the radio. However, the one that came with it was 1.5 feet long. I mean, come on, people. I don't want to have to keep moving the radio around every time I need to do an update. I just feel like it's kind of redundant to leave a cord that short in there. Second gripe or con, it does not have a detachable head. It's permanently mounted to the radio. That being as a mobile application, it would not be practical for a lot of people that love the versatility of having the detachable faceplate. And my third biggest con is the display. How are you going to make a radio and charge more and more money for each updated version? Okay, and let me show you my biggest gripe here. Here's my Anytone 878, which I mislabeled 578 the last time. But the display size now, obviously I can't get it right to scale, but it is the same exact display, the same size, the same width. You can change the color options for both. But Anytone, I hope somebody forwards this video to you. Step up your game and increase the screen size by 2 inches. Okay, that's going to go a long way, mainly for people that are using it in a mobile application. Can you still use this as a mobile radio? Absolutely. But it's distracting when you got to try to strain to see a screen. So that's one of the biggest gripes that I have about this radio. Other than that, the last biggest gripe is the initial programming to get the radio up and running. It's an absolute bear when you don't know where you've never used the programming software. You're going to need somebody to be a mentor to you, and thank goodness Mr. Tony, the one that you just heard on the air, he's been an absolute amazing mentor to me in the field of DMR and other aspects in regards to the radio. I am still working up another code plug. Hopefully that won't take too much longer to finish, but once it's done, it'll be optimized for me, and the radio will be fully programmed, and I don't have to worry about reprogramming it anytime soon, other than for a firmware update. And there was one more con, and it's not really a con. It's going to be every DMR radio. It's a con for all of them. If you decide that you want to manually enter a channel in on the radio without using the programming software, you need to read the information off the radio and save it before you download your new code plug. So anything that you enter in between making a code plug and programming it to the face of the radio, you can pretty much kiss goodbye what you're doing on the face of your radio if you're programming a new code plug without reading the radio first. So I would say program as much as you can. If you program it on the face of the radio and you read it to the radio, but you already have another code plug written, you can save that as a code plug and keep that code plug. But one way or another, it's better to use the software once you're familiar with it. Other than that, not much else to say about it. I did get an extension speaker because when I initially got this radio, my klutzy bottom there decided to drop it twice, and I think it shook loose the insulation around the radio on the inside. So a cheap $12 Roadmaster extension speaker is all you need for indoors. It's plenty loud, it's plenty bassy, and does the job. So anyway, not much else to add to that. So we're going to go ahead and give you my conclusions here. My conclusion on the 578 UV3 Plus, which is the model that I have. Great radio, very versatile. It definitely proved to me that DMR digital radio is much more efficient than analog. Programming in the simplex frequencies, that's the hardest thing, when there are not a lot of other people that know that there are dedicated frequencies for DMR simplex. So all it takes is searching it out on ARRL or any blog. You type in DMR and DMR simplex frequencies, and there are, I think, six or seven between 2 meters and 70 centimeters. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Rude comments will be ignored but left up so that everybody can see what kind of a foolish person that you're being, just because somebody's not doing something the way that you would. I do welcome criticism because I am new at video making. I don't have editing software. I don't have cameras that I can use to make better videos in a big giant production. I'd rather be down to earth for people that want to know a real review based on real world experience. So final thoughts, and then I'll be done. Great radio. I hope you've taken the time to watch this entire video. It was really fun making it this time and showing you a little bit more about the world of DMR. I have still left out some of the features and options that you can use on that radio, but I can update these videos at any time. So I hope everybody learned something. Try to have a good weekend, and see you the next time. KC3QPJ signing off.